Hello everyone. It is said that a writer should have the precision of a poet and the imagination of a scientist. That is what we are going to see in the next poem, Fire and Ice, written by Robert Frost. Students, I would like to share with you that Robert Frost once had a discussion with his scientist friend, Harvard astronomer Harlow Shapley. And the discussion was about how the world will end. It is believed that it was this conversation that inspired Frost to write the poem Fire and Ice. While some other critics say that Frost wrote this poem inspired by the Inferno, an epic poem by Italian poet Dante Alighieri. Inferno means a large fire. Here, it is equated to hell, and Dante pulls out a very surprising move by describing the bottom of the hell in ice. In fact, he describes the Satan trapped waist deep in a huge sheet of ice. Coincidentally, the 9 lines of the poem Fire and Ice can be equated to the 9 circles of hell depicted in Dante's Inferno. Students, you all know that Robert Frost's poems seem too simple on the surface but are delightfully complex inside. In my previous video of Dust and Snow, I've already discussed about the poet, his life and work in great detail. To recall, I would say that many of Frost's poems give us an air of total simplicity, as if you know what exactly he's talking about. But it is only an illusion. The more we read Frost, the more we realize how complex his poetry is. In this poem, the poet presents a question before the readers. How will the world end? Will the world end in fire or ice? The argument for this question is presented in just 9 lines in the poem. Firstly, students, we need to think about this very serious question. Will the world come to an end? Students, it is believed that everything has an end. So does this world. We humans have to accept that end is inevitable. You might have heard of the apocalypse, the biblical end of the world. The end is predestined and we will all have to accept it. Now, the students who are the lovers of science will definitely tell me yes, the world will come to an end because scientifically, the world has to come to an end. The life on the earth depends on the sun, and after billions of years, the sun will run down of hydrogen and will become a red giant and then a white dwarf, etc. Eventually, the world will come to an end. So students, I think there is no doubt about it. You all are convinced that the world will come to an end one day. Now comes the second crucial question. How will the world end? Will it end as a huge ball of fire? Or will it end in ice? That is another ice age. Scientifically, you all know that after billions of years, the Earth's temperature will gradually shoot up, causing a runaway greenhouse effect. The heat will be enough to melt the Earth. On the contrary, there are chances that low levels of sunlight falling on the Earth may give rise to another ice age. On the same line, the poem Fire and Ice describes a fictional debate on how the world will end, whether it will end in fire or in ice. Let us read the poem now. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. The most important thing here is that fire and ice have been used by the poet symbolically. Students, what emotions come to your mind when you think of fire and when you think of ice? Let me help you. When you think of fiery emotions, the emotions that will come to your mind are jealousy, anger, rage, and greed. The poet has equated fire with these emotions, and all these emotions are born out of desire. I can say that desire is the mother of all these negative virtues. Similarly, when you think about icy emotions, what comes to your mind? To understand it better, think about a warm welcome, a warm greeting, and then think about a cold welcome, a cold war between two people. And now try to understand what cold emotions or icy emotions are. These cold emotions are mainly hatred, indifference. In this poem, the poet has equated all these negative emotions like hatred, abandonment, loneliness, emptiness, etc. with hatred. So, fire has been equated to desire and ice has been equated to hatred. And this entire poem has been written symbolically. The poet talks about two different beliefs regarding the end of the world. He says that he is in favor of those who say that this world will end in fire, as he has himself seen the effect and result of uncontrolled and unending desires. He finds that human desires are same as fire in nature. On the other hand, the second belief tells that ice is also sufficient for destroying this world, and the poet compares the nature of ice with hatred, as ice can make a part of our body numb when it is in contact for a prolonged time. Just like that, hatred can also give numbness to our mind and thoughts and make us insensitive and cruel. The speaker brings us into the middle of an argument between people who think the world will come to an end in a fiery way and people who think the world will freeze. He could be talking about the literal end of the world, but he's also talking about the power of human emotions. The speaker's experience with romantic desires has taught that passionate or hot emotions like desire, lust, and anger would probably have the power to turn the earth into a big ball of fire. But he has also explained and experienced the other extreme, that is, the power of colder emotions like hatred, jealousy, and indifference. And the poet believes that, just like ice, these emotions which arise from hatred are also having great destructive power and can destroy humanity. Let us look at the annotations now. The word tasted means experienced. Perish, die or destroy. Suffice, be enough. Key points. The poem has been written symbolically. The poet says that there are mainly two opinions about the end of this world. One by fire and another by ice. That is, the world will either end due to human desires or will end due to human indifference and hatred. And just as fire can spread very fast and cause a great destruction in no time, likewise, our desires may also prove very destructive if they go out of control. The central theme of the poem Fire and Ice is that human emotions are destructive when allowed to run amok. They can destroy a person morally. They can destroy him mentally and physically. Powerful negative human emotions like hatred can destroy the world. Man is easily susceptible to both greed and hatred. Hence, these destructive emotions are a great threat to human existence. Poetic devices. Symbolism. Fire is a symbol of desire and ice is a symbol of hatred. Alliteration. Favors fire. Repetition of the F consonant sound. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. Again, the repetition of S and the repetition of the word F. I hold with those who favor fire. We can also see repetition in these lines. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. The repetition of the verb some say. Next, imagery. We all know that imagery is a use of figurative language to represent objects or actions or ideas in such a way that it appeals to our physical senses. In this poem, the poet has used powerful words like fire, desire, perish and destruction, through which the poet has been successful in creating awe, fear and suspense in the reader's mind. Moving on to the rhyme scheme. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. Now look at the end words. Fire rhymes with desire, ice twice, hate great, and I suffice. Hence the rhyme scheme of the entire poem is AB, AA, BC, BCB. Students, looking at the mood of the poem, as we read, we understand that the mood of the poem is sullen, as the poet lulls over-exaggerating the methods of destruction, or we can say the poet over-dramatically presents the end of the world. Title justification. The title Fire and Ice is a very straightforward clue to what the poem is about. But when you think about it, fire or ice might have been a more obvious title, considering that the poem describes an argument over which of these forces will destroy the world. The title raises the possibility that fire and ice can coexist at the same time, maybe even in the same person. The use of contrasting ideas in the title has added an interesting touch to the title. Moving ahead with the message, the poet equates fire with desire and ice with hatred. In today's world, both of these emotions are seen growing with enormous speed. If we don't check them from growing, the world will perish. We must restrain our desires and love our fellow beings. Even the great scholar Aristotle said that to live a positive life, the passions had to be controlled by reason, and that humans were the only ones capable of rational thought. We must keep these powerful emotions on leash so that we don't lose control over them. So we come to an end of it. Hope you enjoyed the analysis of the poem. Thank you for watching the video.